All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It is Tuesday, and you know what that means. Time to do the Tao now. Reading from Dr. Wayne W. Dyer's Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, Living the Wisdom of the Tao. And it is Tuesday Tao time, ladies and gentlemen. And we come today to a very special verse, a very different verse, I think, because it is the 70th verse of the Tao Te Ching. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have been through over 69 episodes here in this series, and we're all the way to verse number 70 of the Tao Te Ching. And so, with that being said, Wayne Dyer today titles his chapter about this verse, which we'll see if we go all the way through or not. He entitles it Living a God-Realized Life. Now, we've talked a lot about this on this channel, and on this series especially. This idea of living in harmony with the Tao, this idea of living a Tao-centered life, the idea of living a God-realized life. And what all of this could possibly mean. Like, what is God? And what does it mean to be in alignment with the Tao, with the Force, with God, and be in harmony with nature? In living by emulating the sea, if you remember that lesson, and staying simple-hearted, ladies and gentlemen, and living by being here now and understanding that living in the moment is extremely important. And by thinking small, we can help ourselves live without so many difficulties. The idea of living in the treasure house of the Tao and living by remaining low. See, there's many lessons that repeat themselves. Living with immunity to evil. This could be similar to living without enemies. Living by thrift and moderation. Living untroubled by good or bad fortune. These have all been lessons. Living without authoritarianism, by silent knowing, and by letting go. It's just been a powerful series, ladies and gentlemen. Living honorably, returning to the mother. That was a very deep one. By hidden virtue. Living as an immortal and going beyond judgment. By decreasing, by being, and living peacefully, and many, many more, ladies and gentlemen. So now we wind ourselves all the way up to the 70th verse of the Tao Te Ching, which once again is living a God-realized life. So what could that really mean? I mean, part of it could be all of those things that I just rambled off as Wayne's titles to these chapters of wisdom and knowledge that has given us an opportunity to attempt to change our thoughts and in turn, hopefully change our life by attempting to live the wisdom of the Tao. And so with all that being said, I'll begin by reading the 70th verse of the Tao Te Ching. And it begins by saying, "My teachings are very easy to understand and very easy to practice. Yet so few in this world understand, and so few are able to practice. My words have an ancestor. My deeds have a Lord. The people have no knowledge of this, therefore they have no knowledge of me. This is why the sage dresses plainly, even though his interior is filled with precious gems." And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the 70th verse of the Tao Te Ching. It's very simple, but yet very deep and very fascinating to me. It stands out as a very different verse, saying the teachings are very easy to understand and easy to practice, yet so few do understand, and even fewer so practice. So few are able to practice. And so Let's dive into what Dr. Wayne Dyer has to say here about this powerful, different, and simple verse of the Tao Te Ching, the 70th verse. Living a God-realized life. Wayne Dyer says, I pondered this 70th verse of the Tao Te Ching for a week, and I was tempted to do that with you here today, ladies and gentlemen. Just read the verse and have us think about it for a week, but I know many of you will probably have forgotten by tomorrow, maybe. No judgment. I I might be moving on to Wednesday wisdom tomorrow, so. But you can, if you'd like to, ponder this verse for a week as Wayne Dyer did, because it's so deep, yet so simple. Wayne Dyer continues, reading and rereading more than 50 interpretations of it over this week. I was particularly drawn to the phrase in the Essential Tao, Thomas Cleary's translation, those who know me are rare, and those who emulate me are noble. I'm believing he's referring to the line here, the people have no knowledge of this, therefore they have no knowledge of me. I could be off there, but Wayne continues, I also asked Lao-tzu for direction, trying to determine what his message is for the 21st century from this verse from over 2,500 years ago. I knew that the master would never have spoken from a need to have his ego massaged, as it may seem. He was, after all, the original Tao master, enjoying a life centered in the great way rather than ego, and encouraging everyone to do the same. Try to imagine what it must have been like for this divine avatar to walk among his people in ancient China. He'd taken credulous notes of their warlike behaviors, and all the while having an internal awareness of what was possible for all of his fellow human beings if they would only change the way that they looked at their lives. That being an extremely important sentiment, once again, change your thoughts and change your life. Change the way you look at things and change the things you look at. But he knew, despite all of the chaos that was going on, he had this inner knowing that if they would only change the way they looked at their lives, there was so much more that was possible. Freedom, peace of mind, contentment, Wayne continues, and virtually every other principle that I've described in these 81 essays that were, I'll add, described in the 81 or so far 69 verses of the Tao Te Ching. And these were only a thought away. I can imagine that some 500 plus years later, Jesus of Nazareth might have felt the same sentiment that Lao-tzu expressed here in verse 70. Something to the effect of, this is all so easy, so simple to understand and to practice, yet so few are willing or able to grasp the essence of heaven on earth. I think the most important point there being so few are willing to even entertain the thought, let alone able to grasp the essence of the idea of heaven on earth, the idea of that you create your reality for yourself, and what you focus on expands into your life and is what you experience for yourself. But back to what Wayne is saying here. I can almost feel the frustration that Lao-tzu is expressing in these lines as he urges us to live a Tao-centered existence rather than an ego-centered one. I've titled this brief essay, Living a God-Realized Life, because this is what I believe he is asking us all to do here in this 70th verse of the Tao Te Ching and throughout the 81 passages. My words have an ancestor. My deeds have a Lord, quote unquote. And this is what Lao-tzu says in this verse, and then immediately follows with the thought that the people just don't get it. So they clearly, quote, have no knowledge of me, unquote. Lao-tzu's ancestor is the Tao, and the Lord of his deeds is that very same nameless source. He seems to be musing. And then in italics it says, I think God thinks I speak as God, the creator of the universe, would speak. And therefore I act in accordance with these God-realized principles. Now that was italicized, so I'm guessing he's kind of amusing, or amusing the thoughts. I urge you to do the same, Wayne says, which is oh so easy if you're just able to surrender and allow this life-sustaining Tao energy to guide you. Stop fighting. Eschew violent thoughts and deeds and give up trying to control others or the world. Stay humble. Don't interfere. Respect your creative genius as well as that of others, and above all, return to your invisible source. And shed your troublesome ego while you're still alive and incarnated as one of the 10,000 things. If you do all of this, you will naturally live a long life in joyful, non-judgmental peace. Joyful, non-judgmental peace, ladies and gentlemen. Don't we all wish we could be there? Well, this has clearly been a guide and a path, this series, to help us get there. And that is the purpose of me even doing this channel, so that we can create an ability through a greater awareness and understanding of reality to create a higher quality of experience in life. Think of how the great spiritual masters, Wayne says, have been portrayed by artists throughout the centuries. Lao-tzu wears a simple robe. Jesus is outfitted in plain clothes and sandals. St. Francis sports almost tattered rags, and Buddha looks like a peasant with a walking stick. Muhammad is depicted as a simple man. And look at how the followers of the greatest spiritual teachers have been portrayed. Living in the lap of luxury, opulence, and conspicuous consumption in golden palaces. That is a weird thought there. It's a weird comparison I've never contemplated. Look at how the followers of the greatest spiritual teachers have been portrayed. The great sages dress plainly, even though they conceal the most precious commodity within themselves. And just what is this great treasure hidden within these masters? Verse 67 explained that it is God realization in the form of the three treasures. You may remember this if you caught that video. Mercy, frugality, and humility. You don't need gold embroidered costumes and temples strewn with riches, both of which were the result of sweat of countless servants and slaves, to house these treasures. Dressing plainly keeps the sage in harmony with the simplicity of the message. And so, like I said in the beginning, this is a real deep idea. And so I'm going to keep it simple with less of my ramblings this time. This is what Wayne says. He says, this is what I hear Lao-tzu saying between the lines of the 70th verse, expressing the bewilderment that he feels as so few people seem to grasp his beautifully simple message. I second that opinion and that feeling. So few people out here are even willing to ponder on these kind of thoughts, the philosophy and the spirituality and the wisdom of the ages, the wisdom of the Tao. and the possibility that we all have for ourselves to really make a change in our lives, in the lives of those around us, and the lives of those who will come after us. And even fewer are willing to seek to discover and maintain happiness through enlightenment, seek to discover the hidden wisdom of the ages, and attempt to practice it and become in harmony, in union, and begin living a God-realized life. Become in harmony with the Tao and the Force. But, like Wayne says, this is what he hears Lao-tzu saying between the lines of this 70th verse, expressing the bewilderment that he feels as so few people seem to grasp his beautifully simple message. Number one, know the Tao Te Ching. I mean, think about it. How many people, if you ask, have you ever heard of the Tao Te Ching? They'd be like, I think so. Do they know the Tao Te Ching, ladies and gentlemen? Do we know? Well, apparently we do. If you're here, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you. I love and appreciate all of you. If you're getting value, consider subscribing, and it's great to see you in the chat room at the premiere and in the comments section as well. It means a lot to me. And so, know the Tao Te Ching. Number one, Wayne says, change your mind about being one of the vast majority who doesn't understand and practice the teachings of the Tao Te Ching. Lao-tzu tells you that there's little to do. There's so little to do. All you need to remember is that your holiness is a piece of the Tao. According to A Course in Miracles, quote, your holiness reserves all the laws of the world. It is beyond every restriction of time, space, distance, and limits of any kind. Declare yourself to be one of those who possesses this knowledge, and be willing to practice God realization every day. Number two, see God everywhere. Make it your daily practice to seek the invisible force of the Tao, Great Spirit, grand organized design, God, in everything you see and hear. In the 14th century, Meister Eckhart offered some advice on how to put this 70th verse of the Tao Te Ching into daily life. Quote, what is the test that you have been indeed undergone? What? Let me reread that line. Quote, what is the test that you have indeed undergone with this holy birth? Listen carefully. If this birth has truly taken place within you, then every single creature points you toward God. He further advised, quote, if the only prayer you said in your whole life was thank you, that would suffice. It's a deep one, ladies and gentlemen. If the only prayer we said in our entire life, which I would advise us to change our thoughts on how we understand prayer, and that will change our life. But if the only prayer we ever said in our whole life was thank you, that would suffice. A lesson in gratitude, maybe. But it's much deeper than that. It's the ability to see God in everything and know that you are a part of it. Remember, we've talked about this probably 30 more times in this series. Practice saying thank you, Tao. Thank you, universe, is what I say. Because I was raised very Christian, so my subconscious takes the term God as a separate entity that we are not connected to, that is the judge, and that is judging our actions, and that there is no oneness, and, you know, all of this separation, to me, it's real negative spirituality. It's not spirituality, it's a trap for weak-minded and undereducated individuals to think that they are beholden to some entity, and then to allow themselves to walk willingly into that trap. Anyways, sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Tao. Thank you, Source. Thank you, Universe, for everything. And practice saying this. And if God works for you, then that's just fine, as long as you are not separate from it and it is not separate from you. As long as you are it and it is you. Now, I'm not saying here that we are God in the classical sense of a judging, separate, ruling, powerful being. For some undereducated, lower-minded, once again, not judging, I'm just observing that there are these people that exist. And they like to take the idea of, oh, you're claiming that you're God, huh? So you think you're so holy and better and mighty over everyone. And I like to think, no, you're an idiot. I apologize for my judgmental phrase, but you do not know anything of what true divinity is like. If you think that being a god is being more holy than and judgmental and ruling in power over other people, that's just poor human thoughts and characteristics that have nothing to do with true divinity and true spirituality, ladies and gentlemen. So when I say that we are gods, do not take it the wrong way, because it can be taken the wrong way very easily by someone who has a very limited understanding and has obviously been indoctrinated into one way of thinking. It is important to have an open mind, and that will be my rant for the day. So practice saying thank you to this source that gives us life, to this life source, this essence. And then finally, ladies and gentlemen, it says if we can practice saying thank you for everything, this is a way to God realization and seeing God everywhere. Now, finally, which is why you should get this for yourself to put it on your shelf. I have the book linked in the description below. He gives us a little paragraph that says, do the Tao now. And it's a way that we can practically apply this lofty, up in the air kind of mystical wisdom up in the clouds and bring it down to the ground, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me. Do the Tao now, Wayne says. Plan a day to be like the sage who dresses plainly, without jewelry, makeup, or clothes, or fancy clothes. Sorry. Definitely wear clothes. You might find yourself in trouble there, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, it says, head out for the day in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. When you go, we'll make sure it's warm enough, obviously. When you go, stay in this plain mode and notice how irrelevant the attention paid to dress and look seems. Tune in to your feelings as you go about your business, unconcerned about how others view your appearance. And I'll end with a little story that Wayne Dyer tells to second that notion of do the Tao now. He tells a story when he was a doctoral student, learning how to apply what he had learned. I think he was becoming a therapist, or trying to begin his practice of being a psychologist and helping people, and how you can apply your knowledge of psychology into a practical practice or application to people who need an understanding and need help with that knowledge, which is a totally different thing from learning the knowledge itself. But so anyways, the story is he was in class, and it was the final exam or whatever, midterm exam, and everybody's got their books. I mean, this would be small. They got these books, just a pile on the desk. And the teacher said you can use whatever reference material you want that we've gone throughout all of class so far. And so he, anyways, long story short, ladies and gentlemen, because I tend to make short stories long. If you know me, then you know that well. The teacher describes the person, says he's going to a really fancy dinner party. This person is a self-actualized individual, self-actualized. They've been learning about self-actualization in the class. And so teacher says he shows up at a fancy dinner party, suit and tie, and all he's wearing is exactly what Wayne described there in the finishing sentiment, is some tennis shoes, normal shoes. Tennis shoes is kind of an old term nowadays. But just your average shoes and a t-shirt and some shorts, khaki shorts or whatever. And the question was, what would he do? What would he do? And so all the students, went through he left the classroom and comes back, and, all the different doctoral students had written these dissertations or essays on why and how this guy was, would be independent of the good opinion of other people and be detached from the outcome and, not seek power over others and all of these things, the tenets of self-actualizing individuals. And they felt real proud of themselves, Wayne said. He goes, oh yeah, I thought my answer was the best and we were all going to, we all felt this way. And so the teacher comes in and takes out all of their papers and said, no, none of you got it. None of you got it. It was 3 simple words. And Wayne's sitting there going, what? We all wrote these huge essays and did all this work on this. And so the teacher says, the answer is, he wouldn't notice. And so with that said, I'll go back to what we just said to finish this verse. Wherever you go in this plain, sandals, shorts, pair of t-shirt, or your simple attire, notice how irrelevant the attention paid to dress and look seems, and then tune into your feelings as you go about your business, unconcerned about how others view your appearance. The self-actualized individual wouldn't notice showing up at a dinner party where people are all dressed in fancy clothes, wearing shorts and a t-shirt. Not that he would be better than them, or he would, not be concerned with their opinion, or all of these other things that we think spirituality and self-actualization and philosophy and psychology and all of this stuff is about. He simply, plainly wouldn't notice. And I think that's a fantastic way to end up this very, very interesting, very different 70th verse of the Tao Te Ching, ladies and gentlemen, that I'll reread one more time because it was very different than the rest. Quote, the 70th verse of the Tao Te Ching, my teachings are very easy to understand and very easy to practice. Yet so few in this world understand, and so few are able to practice. My words have an ancestor, my deeds have a Lord. The people have no knowledge of this, therefore they have no knowledge of me. This is why the sage dresses plainly, even though his interior is filled with precious gems. And ladies and gentlemen, that is a boom to knowledge. That's a boom to wisdom. And a boom to living the wisdom of the Tao and living a God-realized life. And the 70th verse of the Tao Te Ching. And so with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is a boom to knowledge and a boom to wisdom. I'll say it again. And I hope you're picking up what we're putting down here, because this has been a fantastic and wonderful series. I've enjoyed every bit of it. And if you've got value, consider subscribing. And I thank you so much for joining me. If you're already subscribed, then smash the like button. I know I'm seeing you in the comments, so once again, thank you so much. As well, be sure to expand the description below the video, and you'll find yourself a link to the book, as well as the audio book, so you can get it for yourself to listen to, or you can get it for yourself to put it on your shelf. And as well, ladies and gentlemen, there's a link to my Etsy shop with my landscape paintings. I still need to update that and do some more. work there, but we're all doing work in many ways, different ways in this life. And also there's a link to C60 Purple Power, the most powerful antioxidant known to man. They now have C60 gummies, so much easier to take. And that's important, is consistency, ladies and gentlemen. If we're doing any kind of health supplements, we need to remember that consistency is really the key in any area, actually, of our life. This is why I told myself over a year and a half ago that if I want to succeed at doing these kind of videos, whether it be a small level of success or any level, is I need to be consistent. And so I began practicing the art of showing up. And so we are here, ladies and gentlemen. On we are here. Think of the time. You don't have to think about it. It is right here. It is right now. On a love so strange. Said you never know. Sorry, love that song. It's a good intro too. Maybe I'll get it as my intro song one of the days. One of these days, ladies and gentlemen. That reminds me, somebody commented about doing music in the background of these videos. Let me know what you think about that idea. I thought it was a good one. Maybe at least in certain sections, but then I would have to take it from this recording over to an editing software, upload the file of the recording, add music to the file, and then download that, or, bring that file back and then upload that file to YouTube. And I found it, for me to stay consistent here, I just record, don't even edit any of this. So if you think this is edited, ladies and gentlemen, it is not. But once again, I love and appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for being here, seeking after truth. A salute to you. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, continue to seek to achieve and maintain happiness through enlightenment, a greater awareness, and a greater understanding of reality, so that we can increase the quality of our experience. And remember to seek to discover the hidden wisdom of the ages and the mysteries of our history. And remember that there is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way. It's the activity that we bring to life. So all those things we've been telling ourselves, oh, I'll be happy when I get there, that becomes irrelevant because we already are there. And then the entire journey is hopefully wonderful. All right. Thank you so much. Love and appreciate all of you. We will be back tomorrow with Wednesday Wisdom, diving deeper into, I don't have it sitting next to me, but the lost wisdom of the pharaohs and the Hermetica. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, be the change that you want to see. Be the example in the world that you would like to set for the rest of us to see, and hopefully eventually begin to mirror and emulate. No, 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 no.